Okay, now let's do a new program to calculate the volume and surface area of solids, right? And we'll restrict it to solids like sphere, cylinder and cones. Okay, and here understanding is that we are going to use objects. Okay, so hash include iostream.h, hash include conio.h, and now let's write the class. Now remember, we are talking of inheritance. So what is common to sphere, cylinder and cones? They are all basically solids. Okay, so I'll create a class called solid, and what are the data members that will be there for? What are the properties of the solids? Now if you notice, in all the three cases we require a radius, right? But in case of cylinder and cones we also require the height. Okay, so since for sphere we don't require the height, we will leave it. So whatever is common to all the three, that we are going to put it here in solid. Okay, public, and we will provide the default constructor. So solid, and in this we will say radius equal to 0. Okay, so that is a default constructor. Now remember, let's give the setter functions, and we only have one single property, data member. So we will say set radius, and it will take a int as a parameter, and what it will do, it will set the radius to r. Now once we have the setters, let's provide the getter functions, right? So get radius, and what will this do? Does it require any arguments? No, it will just return the radius. Okay, get radius, and then we know that the two functionality that has to be provided in case of three different types of solids is to get the surface area, right? Now if you are familiar with this particular area, you know that the formulas that are required are different, right, in all the three cases. So what we'll do is, one thing I have missed is set radius will not return anything. Get radius will return an int. Get surface area will return a float. Okay, because it involves some calculations, and because of which it may generate a decimal number. Okay, so float, get surface area. Similarly, float, get volume. Now these are the two functions that has to be provided by any solid that we might create, maybe now or maybe in future. So we really don't know what formulas or what solids will be created. So what we will do here is, we will not provide any implementation, or we will not give any method for these two. These will remain without any definition. We will just declare it. That is the class solid. Remember, we have to create a class. Remember, first is sphere. It has to inherit from where? Inherit from solid. Okay, inherit from solid, and what? Public sphere. Remember, we have to give the constructor. So sphere int r, it will take an argument r, and what will its implementation be? its implementation would be set radius and r will be passed as a parameter, as an argument. Okay, then comes your float get surface area. Now remember, this has been declared in the parent class. So definition we are providing it here. We define a variable called AR of type float, and we say this is equal to, now we should know the formula for that. So 4.0 divided by 3.0, 4 by 3 pi, that is what, 3.14 into get radius into get radius. So basically 4 by 3 pi r square is the formula. Okay, now that we have done that, we just return this AR to whichever function is calling this function, to whichever object is calling this function. So next is what? Float volume. Now again float vol is equal to, now what is the formula for this? 4 by 3 pi r cube. So 4.0 divided by 3.0 into 3.14 into get radius into get radius into get radius. 4 by 3 pi r cube and return vol. So that completes the definition of this class sphere. Now we don't really have to do it for cylinder and this one, but just to test it out, what we can do is directly start off with main. Okay, void main, and we say sphere S1 and we pass the radius. Remember, this does not require any height. So sphere S1 3, and let's display the area. So see out area of sphere is get surface area. On which object should it call? S1 dot get surface area and end L. Similarly, a volume of sphere is S1 dot get volume. Now let's, okay, one more thing, get ch. Okay, undefined symbol solid get volume in module. Okay, linker error, it is not able to get volume. Okay, get volume, where is, okay, here I have mentioned it as just volume. So get volume, here what is it? Get volume. Okay, now let's run this, right? So area of sphere is this, volume of sphere is this. See, now we know that this calculations, everything is correct. So now let's add for cylinder. Class cylinder inherits from solid. Okay, and then what? Remember, this requires another data member. What is that? The data member is height, which is not there in solid. So let's say int height. public, and now again we have to provide the constructor. So constructor will be what? Default constructor will be height is equal to 0, cylinder. Now we are going to have r int h. Implementation will be what? Now what happens? Where is radius? Radius is here in solid. So we have to set this, but it has been declared as private. So we can't directly access it. We have to do what? We have to use a function provided by the solid class itself. So set radius, and what will we pass? A radius. And height is in this class itself. So we say HEIGHT, height is equal to h. Let's go back to this and see whether anything else. So now it's a question of providing the method for get surface area. We have to provide the implementation for this. Okay. For get surface area, what is the formula? So let's say AR is equal to 2 into pi r. So we can't say r, we have to say get radius. Get radius into, okay, let me tell you the formula itself. Formula is 2 pi r into within brackets r plus h. So it is actually 2 pi r square plus 2 pi r h. So 2 pi r common, so r plus h remains. Okay, so get radius plus get height. Right? Now this will return AR. Okay, but do we have get height? So we have to provide get height. Okay, and what will it return? It will return int get volume. Now what is the formula for this? The formula for this is pi r cube. Okay, pi r cube. So float wall is equal to 3.14 into get radius into get radius into get radius. Pi r cube is the, and then return wall, return the volume. Okay, now let's display a few things. So we need to again repeat this part of the code. So instead of typing it, let's copy paste it. Okay, now the changes that we have to make is what? Instead of sphere, this will be cylinder and sil1, and this requires 2 parameters. So let's say 3, 5. So area of cylinder is, and similarly area of cylinder is, and here instead of S1 we will say sil1 and sil1. Now let's run this. Too many types in declaration. Okay, here we have to put a semicolon. Okay, undefined symbol cylinder get height linker error. So get height is not define get height is there here. Okay, I have not actually provided the method for this, so this will return height. Okay, so now yes, so area of sphere is this. Okay, okay, it is not clearing the screen, so let's clear the screen and run it. So it is area of sphere is this much, volume of sphere is this much, area of cylinder is this much, and volume of cylinder is this much. Okay, so now we have taken care of cylinder. Now we have to take care of the third solid, that is cone. Okay, now when we are defining cone, again we are going to inherit from solid. Okay, and again this will have its own private member, data member. What is that? Height, right? So here we have int height, here we have, again we are defining height. So since again it is common to these two, but it is not there in solid, so can we do, shall we include it here itself? Now the advantage of including it here itself is that the advantage is that I don't have to duplicate the code. That is the biggest advantage. So let me just put the necessary setter and getter functions. So this will return height. Okay, so which means now I don't have to provide this here. I don't have to provide get height here. Yes, I don't have to provide that. Okay, and here instead of saying height equal to h, I have to say set height is equal to h. Okay, and here get height. Okay, okay. Similarly here I don't need to provide this. Now I can directly start off with public functions. And what are the functions that I have to provide? Two: get surface area and get volume, because it is inheriting from solid, and in solid it has not been implemented. That means its method or definition has not been provided. So unless we provide it, the class will not be complete. So let's provide float. What is that? Float get surface area, and that completes our class. Now let's ask it to display for this as well. For this as well. So now instead of cylinder, cone CN1, and here let's change this to cone. Let's change this to cone. Okay, and here again CN1, CN1. Okay, when you copy paste code, no, you need to be careful. See, again we have to provide, no, in this case also only two parameters are required, arguments are required. But here this we have to provide, this is not required. Okay, this is not required. Default, this constructor is required for cone as well. So cone's constructor we have not specified. So cone, okay, So cone again will take two parameters, two arguments. What are they? Int r comma int h. And what will it do? It will initialize. So set radius is equal set radius r, set radius h. Sorry, set radius and set height. We could have clubbed this together into a single function, but for sphere there is only one parameter. So okay, anyhow. Okay, so cone, radius and height. So now here we are passing again 2. Now let's run this. Okay, member function must be called. Okay, so we can't just directly say now set height equal to h. We have to call the setter. So set height, and we need to pass this as a argument. Now let's see. Function square root should have a prototype. That means a missing include statement. So hash include math.h. Now let's run this. Expected. See, that is what I was thinking, that somewhere there will be a missing. Okay, now when you have this type of huge formula, best thing to do is to split it. Okay, let's remove this. Let's do one thing. Up to here, up to square root, it's okay. So let's close it off and come here. Okay, and now we will say AR is equal to AR plus. So whatever has already been calculated in the previous step will be there in AR in this. Then in addition to that, we are doing this calculation, and that is being added to AR and stored back in AR. Okay, so let's now we can do what? This has to be there. Okay, let's say int h square is equal to get height into get height. Right? Now similarly int radius square is equal to get radius into get radius. So now what happens? This becomes much more simpler. I can directly say h sqr, right, because this is the square. So I can remove this brackets. Similarly, here I can remove and put r sqr. See now square root of this. So now I don't require this. Now let's see. Yes. So area of sphere is this, volume of sphere is this, area of cylinder is this, volume of cylinder is this, area of cone is okay. Right. So now the point I am trying to make here is when it comes to inheritance, it can make your life much simpler. See, when you are writing the code for the say for example in this case itself, we are talking of solids. Suppose we had looked at it from a traditional point of view. We would have written a class for sphere, we would have written a class for cylinder, we would have written a class for cones, and we would have duplicated a lot of code. Now here instead of that, what we have focused on is the abstraction of these three. What is the abstract concept behind sphere, cylinder and cones? It is nothing but solid. So we create a class called solid, and all the necessary information that is required, we put it here. And we provide the necessary getter and setter functions and the responsibility, overall responsibility of any solid. Now, if a public function has a standard method, standard implementation, then we can define it in solid itself. But if it is different for each type of solid, then we can't define it here, but we declare it so that it has to be taken care of in the subclasses. Okay, so please go through this code and make sure that you understand it completely. Let's run it for the final time. Great. One more thing, what we could have, if you have noticed 3.14, we have put it in n number of places, right? So we could have said float pi is equal to 3.14. Yes, and now wherever the 3.14 is there, now our life becomes simpler. Pi so wherever it is required, see, in this case pi value will never change, right? But there might be situations where you are using a particular constant in n number of places and whose value may change in future. Then it's better to put it in a variable and utilize the variable wherever you require, so that whenever it changes, you have to make changes only in one place rather than in n number of places. Now let's see. Yes, great. By the way, while going to the code, I noticed that the get volume of a cylinder, the formula is actually pi r square h. So instead of saying get radius, instead of saying get height, I had mentioned it as get radius thrice. So now if you notice, pi into get radius into get radius into get height, and this is the correct formula. Okay, so let's save it and source solid, and then window, close, file, quit.